Hi everyone, my name is Kelsey Barker and I am the chair of the 2021 Intermediate Sequoyah Book Award Committee. My team is disappointed that we won't be able to present our list to you in person this year at the OLA Conference, but we've come together from our homes all across the state of Oklahoma to share our list and our not quite Sequoyah list with you. Hopefully these book talks are helpful to you as you begin to promote this list to middle schoolers this fall. Before we get to our list, I want to let everyone know that the Sequoyah Committee volunteer applications are now open. Please go to oklibs.org to apply. Being on this committee is a fantastic experience for any librarian who works with kids. I encourage you to apply. For more information about the Sequoyah Book Award, as well as promotional materials for all three lists, please visit the OLA website.
Orange for the Sunsets by Tina Athaide. Aisha and Yusufu are very best friends and have been all of their lives. They've never been bothered by their differences. But when the leader of Uganda decides that all people living in Uganda that do not have British citizenship must leave, they don't know what to do. They're scared. Aisha and Yusufu don't know what's going to happen to them. They've been friends all their lives. And what does this mean? Aisha is an Indian girl and Yusufu is a Ugandan boy. How will they continue to be best friends? This is a story based on historical events, but is also about friendship, families, and cultural groups.
Imagine you were on your way to school and angry mobs block your path, spitting insults and other derogatory terms at you. Even once you reach inside the school, you are still berated by constant harassment from classmates and even teachers. You can't even participate in extracurricular activities because of the color of your skin. This was a reality for many Black students who were paving the way for school integration in the 1950s and 60s. This Promise of Change is an autobiography written in verse by Joanne Boyce. In 1956, she was among 12 teenagers who enrolled in the all-white Clinton High School in Tennessee. While Boyce's voice is hopeful, you will also empathize with her as she describes the difficult days she had attending a school where she was disliked because of the color of her skin. For example, she writes, "Mouths spewing insults. Do these mouths sing hymns on Sunday? Do they say I love you?" This book tells the story of a not so distant past. I think it's very timely and relevant to be sharing with our students, and I highly recommend This Promise of Change by Joanne Boyce and Debbie Levy, so you can learn more about her experiences during the desegregation of schools.
The next title is New Kid by Jerry Craft. I'm sure you've heard about New Kid, which is the story of Jordan, a Black middle schooler in New York City, whose parents decide to send him to a rigorous private school across town, where there are very few kids who look like him. At his new school, Jordan faces all kinds of microaggressions from teachers and peers, as well as some downright racist remarks. His life at school is so different from his life at home in Washington Heights, and Jordan must face some tough choices about the kind of person he wants to be. New Kid won the Newbery Award earlier this year, as well as the Coretta Scott King Award. It is an engaging graphic novel that is beautifully written, hilariously funny, and especially poignant at this moment in American history.
Stepsister by Jennifer Donnelly is actually two stories in one. The first story is about the fate of the main character, Isabel. The fates are personified by an old woman, a middle-aged woman, and a young woman. They map out the lives of every being alive. Therefore, their fates are already sealed. Chance is a mischievous and mysterious being who disagrees with the fates. He steals a map, and it happens to be the one they created for Isabel. He bets the oldest fate that he can get Isabel to change her fate and change the course of her own life. The story of one of Cinderella's ugly sisters, Isabel, is the second story in the book. It begins with Isabel cutting off her toes to try and fit into the glass slipper that Cinderella lost at the ball. It ends with Isabel leading 10 men, turned into real-life troops, into a battle to save Cinderella.
Never Caught, the story of Ona Judge, Georgia Martha Washington's courageous slave who dared to run away. Written by Erica Armstrong Dunbar and Kathleen Van Cleef. Ona Judge was born into slavery in the 1770s. Little did she know that she would become the slave of America's first president and his wife. Through many trials and tribulations, she realizes her only chance at a real life is through freedom. Will she succeed in escaping the chains of slavery or not? To find out, check out this nonfiction Sequoyah book, Never Caught, the story of Ona Judge.
What does it mean to be smart? Is it being able to keep up with all your assignments and turn them in on time? Is it finishing a test in a given amount of time? Or is it the ability to not get distracted at important times, like at a chess tournament or in class? If so, Clea would not be considered smart. 12-year-old Clea can't seem to do anything right these days. When she fails one too many tests, her parents take her to see a psychologist to get help. Clea is diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder without the hyperactivity, which means she can be smart but still struggle with things going on in her mind. Now that she has this diagnosis, she must learn coping strategies necessary to help her be successful in school and on the chess team. Can Clea find ways to help herself stay focused? Find out by reading Focused by Allison Gerber.
Allies by Alan Gratz. Dee, Samira, James, and Henry did not know each other, but they all four played a big role in their country's part of World War II. Dee was a 16-year-old U.S. soldier. Samira was an 11-year-old French girl. James was a Canadian paratrooper, and Corporal Henry Allen was a medic. They all worked tirelessly to do their part on a very momentous day known as D-Day. This is the story of how their life passed in front of their eyes in one single monumental day. Read Allies by Alan Gratz.
Hi, I'm here to talk about one of the books on the Masterlist, and my book today is Reaching for the Moon by Katherine Johnson. Katherine Johnson was a notable NASA mathematician and credited with helping put the first man on the moon. John Glenn, when he went up for the first orbit, found that he wouldn't fly unless the numbers were right, and the girl had to give her the numbers. She grew up in the era when women weren't as important as the men were. Despite these challenges, Johnson went on to college at 16, graduated, became a notable mathematician, and you've seen her featured actually in the movie Hidden Figures. But there's a lot more to the story of this remarkable woman, including receiving the Medal of Freedom from President Obama and having a building named after her. She lived to be 102 and has a story to tell you that is quite remarkable. Take a minute and enjoy the book.
The End of the World as I Know It by Matthew Landis. Derek is convinced that the end of the world is coming and it will happen soon. So he's been busy building a fallout shelter. But to his dismay, the neighbor girl Misty insists on helping him. And then to make matters worse, his friend wants him to keep the pet python in the fallout shelter so it can survive the apocalypse. But when the end comes, it's nothing like anyone expected. It's The End of the World as I Know It by Matthew Landis.
Hi, I'm here to talk to you about A Good Kind of Trouble by Lisa Moore Ramey. And this is about a girl named Shayla who is starting junior high, and a lot of things are changing in her life. Friendships are different. She has a new interest in boys. She's starting to run track. But the biggest change comes when she starts wearing a black armband in support of Black Lives Matter after the acquittal of a police officer for shooting a black man. Now, a lot of people at her school are really supportive. A lot of people, including some of her friends, don't really understand what she's doing and why. And a lot of people are getting really angry. But the worst thing happens when the administration tells her you can't do this anymore. And Shayla, who's always been the good girl, never getting into trouble, has to decide what things are worth getting into trouble.
Hi, I'm Melissa Phillips, and I am a school librarian in Owasso, Oklahoma, and I'm here to talk to you about Pay Attention, Carter Jones by Gary D. Schmidt. It's 7:15 in the morning, and it's the first day of middle school, and Carter Jones's house is in total chaos. His sisters are crying, they're out of milk, his mom's car won't start, and the doorbell is ringing. Carter goes to the door and finds a butler, a true English butler. Now, apparently, Carter and his family have inherited this butler, and he is quite the know-it-all. Carter doesn't care for him at first. He's always telling him what to do, and what teenage boy likes to be told what to do, especially by a total stranger? But fortunately, over time, young Master Carter starts to find that this butler isn't so bad. Young Master Carter may just find this butler helps him overcome burdens he wasn't even aware he was carrying. I'm sure you'll enjoy it.
Hi, my name's Tanya Baldwin. I'm with the Hazel Cross Library in Thomas, Oklahoma, and we're a part of the Western Plains Library System. And I'm here to talk about Our Castle by the Sea by Lucy Strange. A few years ago, we had a book on the Sequoyah list, which was The War That Saved My Life by Kimberly Brubaker Bradley. I loved this book, but more importantly, my kids loved this book. So I was excited to see Our Castle by the Sea by Lucy Strange. I knew I had to put everything to the side and read this book. Having read her previous book, The Secret of Nightingale Wood, that I had enjoyed, Our Castle by the Sea did not disappoint. The setting is set in a peaceful village by the sea with 11-year-old Petra and her family living in a lighthouse ran by her father during World War II. So far, the war has not touched their peaceful existence as of yet. Soon, their picturesque life gets overturned by a series of unsettling events.
Another one of our Sequoyah books is A Time Traveler's Theory of Relativity by Nicole Valentine. And it's about Finn, who is not excited about his upcoming 13th birthday because it only reminds him of losing his twin sister Faith in a marble quarry at the age of 3. So now it's 10 years later and Finn's mother has gone missing with no explanation. She just needs more time, says Finn's father, but it doesn't help Finn feel any better. So when Finn's dad drops him off at his grand's house for the weekend, Finn discovers the fantastical truth. The women in his family are time travelers, and his mother has disappeared into another timeline to save his sister. With the help of his best friend Gabby, Finn embarks on an incredible journey through time. This is definitely a book I'd recommend to those who really liked like A Wrinkle in Time or any of Margaret Peterson Haddock's books. And so I highly recommend A Time Traveler's Theory of Relativity to see if Finn can rescue not only his sister, but also his entire family.
This is Other Words for Home by Jasmine Warga. And it's a quick read. It's a novel in verse, and it tells the story of a girl named Jude. Now, Jude has been living in Syria with her family, but things are very violent there. There's political upheaval, and so in fear of violent acts, the family decides to send Jude and her pregnant mother to Cincinnati to live with an uncle and his family there. Now, Jude starts school here in America, and you can imagine it's quite a change for her. There's a language barrier, there's a big cultural barrier, and things are difficult for her. So, will she ever feel comfortable enough to call America home? I think your students will enjoy this. Give it to those kids that want a quick read.
Genesis Begins Again by Alicia D. Williams. Genesis dislikes herself. In fact, she keeps a list of all the things that she dislikes. She also thinks she's the reason for her family's troubles. Her dad has a problem with drinking and gambling, and the family always has to move. And she thinks that maybe if she'd just been born with lighter skin like her mother, all their problems would go away. She tries many things to change her situation, and some of them actually kind of hurt herself. But then she learns to like a thing or two about herself, and she discovers that changing her attitude is the first step to changing her world. In Genesis Begins Again, you'll learn to root for Genesis as she goes through her journey of self-discovery. She'll grab your heart and not let it go. Genesis Begins Again, Alicia D. Williams.
Hi, how are you today? As you've been watching the videos on some of the books that have made the Masterlist for this year's Sequoyah list, we have found some other books that are just as good, just not quite Masterlist. One of the ones that I chose is called Moon Mission, the epic 400-year journey to the moon, and it's by Sigmund Bauer. This book is told from the astronaut's point of view and tells the story behind Apollo 11, successful, nearly disastrous, 1969 moon landing. Readers are brought along on the ride of a lifetime as they relive every step of the mission, including nail-biting and relative unknown crucial moments when it came close to failure that not everybody knows about. From ignition to moonwalk to splashdown, the story is 11 exciting episodes. Each episode is linked back into history to the innovations and discoveries for the last 400 years. From Copernicus to Einstein, from the sextant to Velcro, you'll see what things in the past helped make that moon landing. It offers children an original book at the historic feat that captivated the world in July of 1969. The information is thoroughly researched. It includes NASA photographs, and they're highly readable with a compelling modern graphic design. This engaging book is sure to generate interest among your readers, even those that hate to read. There's a very strong curriculum link for your classroom to be added to your classroom library. It includes Earth and space systems, physical science, chemistry, math, engineering, technology, applied science, and history, not to be limited to just those, that give the young readers an opportunity to make the connection between what they learn in school and the awesome things that happen in our real world. Give this book a try. I think you'll enjoy it.
So one of my not so quiet Sequoyah books is The Next Great Polly Fink by Ali Benjamin. I loved this book for many reasons, mostly because it was lighthearted, funny, and just a lot of fun to read. And so it's about 7th grader Caitlin, who is a new student in a small rural school where everyone's obsessed with a student named Polly Fink. And Polly Fink has mysteriously not returned to school, and his charisma and class clown antics seem to be all the students can talk about. So Caitlin finds herself nominated to run a contest to find the next great Polly Fink. So the characters are funny, and it explores this idea of reputation and rumors versus reality. It's a fun book with funny, well-developed characters that I think most younger middle grade students will enjoy.
My not quite Sequoyah pick is The Mighty Heart of Sunny St. James by Ashley Herring Blake. Like Blake's other novels, The Mighty Heart of Sunny St. James centers on a middle grade girl who is questioning her sexuality while she also struggles to cope with other challenges life has thrown her way. Our title character, Sunny, has just overcome a heart transplant, and she's ready to finally be a normal teenager. And that means she is going to get a kiss from a boy. But when Sunny meets new girl Quinn, she begins to question that wish. At the same time, Sunny's absentee mom is also back in town, ready to be a part of Sunny's life whether she likes it or not. Sunny's life is suddenly very complicated, as if it wasn't hard enough to be a teenager. Mighty Heart is a great addition to middle grade collections looking for a younger take on LGBTQ stories for readers.
A not quite title, Beverly Right Here by Kate DiCamillo. 14-year-old Beverly Topinski decides to run away. She is grieving the loss of her dog and is tired of her mother's drinking. She hitchhikes to Tamaray Beach and lies about her age to get a job. She finds an unlikely family in the people that she encounters, and her life starts to make sense again. Don't miss out on this book, Beverly Right Here, by Kate DiCamillo.
One of our not quite Sequoiahs is called Secrets of a Fangirl by Erin Dion. Do you have secrets? Things that you hope your friends never find out about you? Well, Sarah Ann does. Sarah Ann is popular. She's on the lacrosse team. She has tons of friends. She's considered one of the cool kids. But Sarah Ann is obsessed with the MK Nightshade series, which is way too nerdy for a popular kid like her. Sarah Ann does her best to keep her geekiness a secret, but when she's offered a spot in a Nightshade fandom contest, the prize might be too good to pass up. Read Secrets of a Fangirl to find out if Sarah can keep her geeky identity hidden, if she can win the contest, and finally if she can keep all her so-called friends. One of our not quite Sequoyah books is Watch Hollow by Gregory Funaro. Lucy and Oliver's dad has been hired to fix a cuckoo clock in the old, once grand Blackford house. Lucy and Oliver soon discover that there is much more to the clock and to the Blackford house than meets the eye. When the clock isn't working, evil forces that live in the enchanted forest that surround the Blackford house start to move in and try to take over the house. Will Lucy and Oliver's father get the clock fixed? And will Lucy and Oliver be able to save the house from these evil forces? And finally, are the clock animals that come to life in the cuckoo clock friend or foe? To find out, you'll have to read Watch Hollow.
Another one of my not so quite Sequoyah books was The Whispers by Greg Howard. It's about 11-year-old Riley, and his mother has disappeared. And Riley believes that the Whispers might know what has happened to her. The Whispers are the town's tale of all-knowing beings from the woods that can make one's desires come true. So while on a hunt for the Whispers, Riley grapples with his mother's disappearance and his own feelings for another boy. I think the author does a really great job of not just dealing with grief, but also this young boy's sexuality. And I also love when the fantastical meets the reality. So this whole time you're wondering if the Whispers are real. So read The Whispers by Greg Howard, not just to find out if the Whispers are real, but also Riley's journey.
This is Shouting at the Rain by Linda Mullally Hunt. This is about a girl named Delcy. Now, Delcy seems to always be getting left behind. Her addict mother left her with her grandparents when she was a baby. Her grandfather has recently died and left Delcy and her grandmother struggling to make ends meet. And her best friend, since she was small, has decided that she likes another girl better, and they're both mean to Dulcie. And so I really liked this one. I liked the quirky, loving characters that eventually helped Dulcie decide that she, despite all the things she doesn't have, she really has quite a lot. And it's a heartwarming story. I think many of your students are going to see themselves in Dulcie.
My not-so-Sequoyah pick is Warrior of the Wild by Tricia Levenseller. It is a fun, action-filled fantasy story about a young girl named Rasmira, whose life has been dedicated to becoming a warrior. She is the chosen heir of her fathers and one day will lead her village. But of course, life never goes as planned, and tragedy and sabotage strikes during her coming-of-age trial, and she fails. She's banished by her father into the wild. To win back her honor and to come home, she must kill the monster who wreaks havoc on her village or die trying. This book didn't make the list because we felt it was a little too old for our list, but I was so happy to see that it made the high school list. For your kids that like strong, independent female characters, they will love this book. It has betrayal, action, there's a hint of a love story, but it was not fully developed in this one. This is a book one in a trilogy, and I'm excited to see where the characters are going to go from here. My kids that have read this all really enjoyed it.
One of my not quite Sequoyah titles is called On Thin Ice by Michael Northrup. Cad Eakins and his dad are on their own. They don't have anyone to help them through their tough times, so Cad is determined to take care of things for them both. Cad needs money fast or they will lose their home, so he devises a plan to earn some money. Find out how Cad stepped out of his comfort zone and kept them from being homeless.
Bouncing Back by Scott Osler. Carlos Cooper was a superstar on the basketball court until one day he found himself in a wheelchair. Struggling with his new predicament, his aunt signs him up to play for the Rolling Rats, a wheelchair basketball team. Just as he's adjusting to his new life and friends, the local gym they practice at shuts down. How will he and his friends overcome the obstacle so that they can compete for the league championships? Check out Bouncing Back. It's a great almost Sequoyah.
Sorcery of Thrones by Margaret Rogerson is a book about Elizabeth. She lives surrounded by sorcery, which is considered evil, and books which can have their own personalities. She is planning on becoming a warder, a special librarian that protects books and also keeps evilly enchanted books locked away. However, after she's implicated in a book crime involving one of these evil books, she learns the truth about those in possession of the evil books and her own hidden powers.
Seeking to prevent their daughter from falling victim to the curse, 16-year-old Milla's parents shelter her on a secluded farm and follow all the rituals said to keep the demons away. After finally making a friend, Milla must seek answers to save her when she becomes possessed and taken away. When Milla herself begins to show signs of the curse, she knows she must uncover the truth, even if it exposes her family's troubling past. Can Milla save her friend and herself? To find out, read The Cold is in Her Bones by Petronella Van Arsdale.
Crown of Feathers by Nikki Palpretto. Veronica and her sister are war orphans, and though her sister has always been controlling, she's also always looked out for her. Both sisters are animages and have been searching for rare phoenix eggs in hopes of hatching them and becoming phoenix riders. Being a phoenix rider is Veronica's greatest dream. Then, after Veronica suffers a shocking betrayal from her sister, Veronica sets off alone, and she's determined to find the phoenix riders and join them. The one catch? She'll have to disguise herself as a boy to join. Find out if Veronica will realize her dream and soar on a phoenix in Crown of Feathers by Nikki Palpretto.